Today I'll be talking about who UNICC is, what are the elements of our security program, the approach for measuring the effectiveness of our cybersecurity program, and the role UNICC plays in enhancing the cybersecurity program for the UN family in general. So a little bit about myself. Already Anna has explained, so I'm not going to repeat that. But I've been in the UN system for since 2010. I worked at the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons based in The Hague, also in charge of cybersecurity program there. And I've been working as the CISO for UNICC, UN Women, the Pan American Health Organization, which is the regional office of WHO in the American region, and UNFPA, the Population Fund of the United Nations based in New York. Before that, I worked in the private sector, and I was also in a very similar role as I am in right now. I have moved to the beautiful Valencia city last year. I was in New York until September of last year. And as UNICC is investing heavily in building its cybersecurity center of excellence in Valencia, so I also moved myself with my whole family to Valencia. And I'm also in charge of UNICC's office in Valencia. So we have close to 270 people, all technology experts, and I'm administratively in charge for them. So a little bit about UNICC. We are a very hidden UN organization within the UN family. We were formed by a General Assembly resolution in 50 years ago, when 3 UN agencies, the United Nations Development Program, the World Health Organization, and the United Nations Main Secretariat wanted to procure and run a mainframe, which used to be quite expensive in those days. So they didn't want to do it separately, and then they decided to join forces, and that's when UNICC was formed. Last year, we turned 50 years. We have been existing since then. We are providing cybersecurity services since the last 5 years, but before that, we have been heavily a technology shop for the UN. So we sit in the back end. We have data centers throughout the world. We host and run close to 5,000 servers for the UN family, and I think a couple of thousand network devices, which are managed by my colleagues who are mostly technology experts. So my workforce is mostly technologists. We have outsourced our administration, so HR, procurement, legal, everything to the World Health Organization. What I wanted to emphasize is that UNICC is growing exponentially. When I joined UNICC, we were 350 people. Now we are close to 800 people. And Valencia has been one of the areas which we are really, really looking for very good technology people who can come and join us. Not only cybersecurity, but technology in general. Our values are very strong. We are seeking excellence in everything that we do with highest standard, with respect, curiosity, pride, passion, flexibility, honesty, transparency, providing superior service relationships that our partners and clients expect and deserve. We compete with the private sector in some sense, although we are a UN organization, but we compete with the private sector because we need to deliver very good services to our UN family, as we are the shared service provider of the UN family. We work in the center of the UN family, and almost all the UN agencies, close to 80 plus, are taking services from UNICC in the back end. So this puts us in a very unique situation because we are the only organization that can actually claim to support all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So I don't know if every one of you is aware of the Sustainable Development Goals, but they range from elimination of poverty to empowerment of women to elimination of chemical weapons to the children have rights to education, so on and so forth. And all these Sustainable Development Goals have one or two UN organizations supporting them, right? So UNICC is sitting in the center, supporting all these agencies in the back end. Now, that puts us also in a very interesting position for adversaries because we are connecting to all these organizations from a technology perspective, and we store and host very sensitive information for all these all these organizations. So, this is just a quick summary of all these agencies. So for me and my team, what are our objectives? So we want to become an enabler for the business units to deliver digital solutions with security best practices baked into the products that we build. So, for example, some of my colleagues in the innovation team are working on an application which is helping UN colleagues to claim their retirement benefits after they retire, and that's developed by UNICC. They're collecting they're using facial recognition technology. So their privacy and security becomes really very important. So my team has worked with them extensively to make sure that the security of that application is baked into it. The second most important element for my team is actually to deliver cybersecurity services to the UN family. So we are also a shared cybersecurity provider of the UN family, and we are the only shared security provider in the UN family. My team works towards making sure that our agencies are operating in an environment which is aligned to industry best practices from a cybersecurity perspective, and that we are helping them to enhance their cybersecurity posture by building all these common services which they don't have to build individually. They come to us and we support them. Our program is based on industry best practices. We are ISO 27001 certified. We are the only organization that is undergoing the ISAE 3402 audits. We are using COBIT 5 for governance, Prince 2, ITIL, ISO 20023, 22301 for business continuity. We are all certified. Our organization is following these best practices and also certified to these industry best practices. Now, a little bit about UNICC's cybersecurity program. So when we started to build the cybersecurity program for UNICC, it was a little challenging for us because we are connecting to all the agencies who we support. So it's a mesh. And the security of our network is heavily linked to the networks of our agencies. So where do we start? How do we make sure that we are at a good security level, and that the security threats that are impacting our agencies are not directly coming and hitting us? So we took a multifaceted approach from endpoint protection to raising our people, which are all technology experts, CCIEs, VMware specialists, network specialists, Windows specialists, AIX, you name it, and we have one technology. We have that kind of technologists in our network. So we took a multifaceted approach: phishing, access management, risk management, InfoSec workforce, information security audits and compliance, incident management, change management, vulnerability management, threat intelligence, and organizational resilience. So risk management, we have built a comprehensive risk management program where we are performing cybersecurity risk assessments for all the solutions and networks that are under our jurisdiction. So my team has done a very good job in building very nice dashboards using technologies that are quite prevalently used. And what we are doing is we are tracking the number of risks identified versus those that have been remediated. So when we started this program 2-3 years ago, we identified a whole lot of risks, and then we came to a state where there were too many risks and we had to mitigate them. So in the last few years, we have focused on risk remediation as well, and we work closely with our teams to raise awareness on how they can mitigate risks and how they can build solutions that don't introduce new risks into the organization. We are measuring trends over a period on risk remediation. So, for example, an individual team, if they are developing products and if the number of risks associated to the products that they develop is high, then we go and work with the team to make sure that they are aware of how to make sure products are built with limited vulnerabilities. These dashboards are made available to the organizational heads, the division chiefs, and then they are working individually with their teams to make sure that the risks are mitigated. It is not a very easy task because for me and my team, it was first difficult to do these risk assessments and focus on the areas where we need to do risk assessments. But once we did that, we had a lot of risks to mitigate. And to build a prioritized a plan for mitigation of those risks was the challenge for the team that we took up, and we slowly mitigated them. Awareness, we are doing extensive awareness programs for our people. We have partnered with big cybersecurity awareness providing companies, and we are working with them to develop trainings that are focused and relevant to our people. What we do is that we are making sure that all new joinees are taking those awareness trainings, and regularly every individual who has access to our resources is also taking those trainings. We have customized trainings for different audiences. And when we run our phishing campaigns, so I must say that some of my team members are very evil. They run very evil phishing campaigns that look very real and very difficult to catch. But when they are able to identify people who are falling for those phishing campaigns, we trap them and we try to raise awareness. It's difficult because sometimes people get offended and they don't like that they are being cornered, but it's only good for them and for us that the awareness is raised. It is also important to raise awareness because nowadays there is a very fine line between professional and personal. So if they are clicking on links in their professional environment, it is more likely that they are also clicking on those links in their personal environment. And when people are connecting to official sources using personal computers, if their personal computer is compromised, then official data is also compromised. So raising awareness has been a very, very important pillar of the cybersecurity program. We also have a little, in our intranet, we have a page where we are identifying people and congratulating them if they identify phishing emails. So that also is good and encourages people to have good behavior in cybersecurity. What we also do is the UN is unique. We have a lot of, so in general, if you see how the UN operates, is that we have an organization which is empowered by the state parties to implement the mandate of the organization. So there is a team which is implementing the mandate. There is a team which is comprising of member states who are actually mandating the organization to do what it needs to do. Most of these agencies, they meet on an annual basis, and they have their annual meeting where the organization, for example, like OPCW or IAEA or UN Women, they have their annual assembly where they report back the progress of the work that they have done. We have seen so many phishing campaigns that are linked to these annual assemblies. Whether it's one agency or another, these attackers are actually taking themes which are linked to these annual assemblies and then sending it out from one email from one agency to another. We also see a trend where people are being hacked and attacked in one organization. Their accounts are then being used to attack other organizations, right? And also sometimes to the constituencies of those organizations. So raising awareness is very important, and what we do is we take these themes and we go back to the people with the same themes to see if they're falling for it. Application security is absolutely important, and vulnerability management is one of the key areas that we have been focusing on. So what we are doing, it's really not an easy job to track all the thousands of vulnerabilities that are coming out every month. So what we are doing is that we are prioritizing the vulnerabilities that are coming out. So in our vulnerability management program, we started with looking at severity, CVSS severities 4 and 5, and then we went out to all our infrastructure and started tracking that. And over the period, we have built trends showing that the vulnerabilities are reducing. So some matrices that we are tracking are the total flaws by severity, by the number of flaws, age and severity breakdown, vulnerabilities per application, vulnerabilities per host, and then we are also doing some wall of shame, where we see if applications are having a lot of vulnerabilities, we really call them out, that this application did not meet the requirement, and we report this to our management. So every month we have a meeting where all our senior management comes into the picture, and there I am going and presenting that we did these risk assessments on all these different applications, and this one that was the one that was at a rating F, whereas this one was at a rating A+. What we are focusing on the securability of an application, so how much can it be secured? Is security baked into the application? Sometimes applications don't have the basic pillars of security baked into them, so in a sense, they are not very securable, right? So if we build applications that are securable, then we are able to even secure them. So that's also a matrix that we are tracking very closely. We are pushing developers to adopt freedom within framework. So we've given them a framework in which they should operate. In that framework, we empower them, we give them the tools so that they're able to develop secure applications. The moment they go out of the framework, there are alarm bells that come up, and we come to know, our SOC comes to know that they are actually trying to put something in the application which is not as per our requirements. Automating security and shifting it left is important. Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. I keep on repeating this phrase all the time, every time in my organization. It cannot be that the cybersecurity team alone is responsible for securing and developing secure applications or products. It's actually those people who are close to the information, close to the people who are using the technology, are actually responsible for making sure that these applications are secure. So we spend a lot of time in finding tools, technologies, products, approaches that can help the developers to develop secure applications. And we are using third-party risk ratings to actually track the posture of our organization from a security perspective. Security incidents are also very important. No matter how much we do, there will always be security incidents. There is, I don't know of any organization which would be claiming to say that there is no security incident in their organization. So it is important that every organization is able to gracefully respond to security incident and does not come out as an organization who was not aware of how to respond to a security incident. So we have focused a lot on building a robust incident response process, incident response standard and policies, and we raise awareness within our staff and especially technology colleagues, administrators, on what they should do if they see something is going wrong. What we do is we measure the average resolution time for security incident, and we also measure the maximum resolution time for security incidents. Measuring the resolution time for security incidents is not easy because they're not typical IT incidents, because sometimes a response to a security incident can take months, even years, depending on the kind of incident and the kind of data that's available to respond to the incident. But our aim is to reduce the average resolution time for the security incident. What we also do is we link the recommendations or the risks that come out of the security incident, the reason why the security incident happened, and link it to our risk management program so that we are able to track those risks and make sure the recommendations have been remediated. Threat intelligence is a key input to our incident response, to our cybersecurity program. There is so much to do for cybersecurity experts. We have a team which is nicely sized, but even then we have more than what we can do. So getting inputs from the threat intelligence program is very important for us. We have a team that's constantly monitoring outwards to see what are the applicable threats that are targeting us, and bring that intelligence into our SOC so that our SOC can use that for threat hunting and identifying incidents in that way. Organizational resilience is very important for us. This is what sorry for the very small slides. I don't know if you're able to read it, but I'll speak to it. These are the matrices that we are using for measuring the organizational resilience. And organizational resilience is more or less the business continuity program that we have. More and more cyber threats are impacting the continuity of business in every organization. So what we are doing actively is making sure that our business continuity is tested, planned, and communicated to our people, so that if there is a major cyber threat, we are able to continue operations without stopping. So, for example, major number of non-conformities, number of observations, number of opportunities for improvement is one area that we are constantly looking to increase our organizational resilience. And this is, of course, one of our, we call it the security fan. This shows all the capabilities that the security team is supporting. It ranges from security governance, from security assessments, from cloud security, threat intelligence, security operations, vulnerability management. We are running pen tests every now and then. Identity and access is a very important area that we are focusing on. E-signatures, PKI, and awareness. So I'm not going to go into the details of all of them, but if you do want to talk to me, I'd be happy to explain more about it. Quickly going into the role of UNICC in the UN family, last year the United Nations Joint Inspection Unit has published a report. This UNJIU is kind of an independent oversight body for the UN, and they are looking at different aspects of the UN and giving recommendations to state parties on how we can improve the way UN is working. In that report, they have really emphasized that UNICC is playing a key role in enhancing the cybersecurity posture. There are 5 recommendations that they have made, and out of which 2 are focused on UNICC, so that UNICC can get direct funding from member states, and that member states can actually start through UNICC, help the UN to enhance its cybersecurity posture. We've got few awards. It's a brilliant team that I have. They're all doing a great job. They're so motivated to help the UN in improving the cybersecurity posture. And these awards we got for our common SOC and common threat intelligence service that we are running within the UN family. And that's pretty much it. I think I have a lot of slides, but they're all backup slides, so we are not going to go through all of them. In case you want to talk to me, I'm happy to explain more on the work that we are doing. One ask that I have is that we need good people, and I think this is the problem with everybody in cybersecurity. All managers are looking for nice people. We too are looking for good colleagues. If there are opportunities where we can come together to find common solutions, also with the Valencian community, so that we are able to develop and nurture more talent here that can eventually help us all. So we work closely with the universities, with the schools. We are raising awareness and bringing more young talent into the talent pool. So I end my presentation here and open for questions.
Thank you, Tima. Thank you, Tima, very much. We have more or less 5 minutes. Si alguien quiere hacer alguna pregunta, tenemos 5 minutos. Por favor.
That's a very good question. I truly believe that a cybersecurity program can be successful only if it has support from senior management, from the executive. So we support all these agencies, and we also run the cybersecurity program for UNICC, and we see a big difference in how we are able to approach and implement controls depending on the support the organization has from the senior management. So what do we do? Raising awareness is key. We spend a lot of time raising awareness on cyber threats for senior management. In my own organization, of course, we are a technology shop, and even my CEO, he was a software developer, so it's easy to explain to him what a hacker is doing and how threats are impacting. So for me, that's a quick win. You know, every single thing, any security incident that we have, I quickly pick up the call and I talk to my boss and I tell him that, see, there is this hack and what should we do? So we work together. But it's different when the focus of the organization is not technology. For example, if we are working for an organization that's focusing on empowering refugees, there you don't have technology experts, and the CEO of the organization is not a technologist. So there what we are doing is we are trying to raise awareness at the senior management level. And raising awareness is important. Any event that is happening outside of the organization, if we can bring that knowledge to senior management, that this other organization was breached. Whether it's UN or not, it doesn't matter. It's important that they understand that those same vulnerabilities are available in our network as well. So taking threat intelligence and customizing it for your organization and bringing that awareness to your management will actually help raise their knowledge that this threat is actually real and it can happen to my organization as well. And that has helped. We have been in meetings with CEOs, and in the UN, the CEO is generally the Director General or the Assistant Director General, who are specialists in their own field. And we have meetings with them where we are able to explain to them that, see, this other agency was compromised or the attackers attacked them using this technique, very high level, and this is applicable to you as well. From where we sit, we see that this attack could easily happen in your organization as well. So raising awareness is very, very key. And keeping it and connecting it to the mandate of the organization is very important. So if you are able to prove that this threat will actually jeopardize the success of the mission of the organization, then it becomes a real threat that is actually hurting the mission of the organization. So it has to be linked to the mission of the organization as well. Thank you.